Hey, it's Wednesday. Sounded like my video was lagging on your end a little bit. I heard the end of the intro after it stopped over here. That was weird.
I
Anyway,
heard that
it's
too.
Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of the Sports Show with No Name. I'm your host. I'm Chad Bryan. We've got Ben Bales with me as always.
What's up?
Uh, Ben, what's going on, man?
Nothing much.
Little heartbreak Wednesday after
Yeah,
watching the
I,
the Cavs lose to. I mean, the better
they were definitely the better team.
team in the series, but if you want to look at their season, the Cavs. But once again, I don't know, like conditioning and injuries just kind of took over. It seemed like the
Yeah,
Cavs were healthy heading into the playoffs. Looked really good against the Heat. Their season comes to an abrupt end. We've got some other baseball by Commissioner Rob Manfred for a second there. Hold on, there we go.
there we
I
go.
don't know what's going on. We got some Wi-Fi issues today. I guess we're gonna have some fun with that.
We do.
So that'll be featured on the show. Wi-Fi issues. You can talk about your Wi-Fi. It tells you what you have for Wi-Fi, and if you have issues trying to go live, ever, because we're apparently going to have some problems today. And what else is going on? Oh, the Buckeyes get a noon kickoff for I don't know, biggest
Woohoo!
game of week one, the playoff national semifinal rematch.
It's ridiculous.
How you feel about that? But we'll talk about that later on too. I'm just getting tired of that. Also, man, it's a frustrating Wednesday here, but we're not going to let that affect the show. We're going to have a good show for you anyway. I just want to get right into the headlines. It's really going to be one of the sort of the first story of the show as I try to knock my desk over here. I'm not that mad about the Cavs. All-time hit king Pete Rose, Major League Baseball all-time hit king Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and numerous other members of the 19, whatever. what was it? What year was that? 1919?
Something like that.
1917, 1918, I don't know, 19, whatever. The White Sox, the Black Sox scandal, they were reinstated by Commissioner Rob Manfred yesterday to baseball. Manfred made a weird, they stated that a person's time on the permanently ineligible list ends at his or her death now. So apparently Shoeless Joe Jackson also died yesterday. Pete Rose must have only just died yesterday. I don't know. I just, it seems like a weird time to reinstate. I don't know. I'm just not sure. How do you feel about this? Where are you on? Just gave you the meaning of the word permanent yesterday. I don't really know.
I've always told people that when Pete Rose died, he'd probably get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well,
but then after seeing the report from Manfred that says now if you die and you're on the permanently banned list, you're automatically eligible. It's kind of like that thing, like, oh, like we feel bad for you, but since you're not here to accept it, we're okay with putting you in.
Yeah.
But see, I don't know. I know a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on Pete Rose and if he should be in the Hall of Fame or not. Right? Like, yeah, he bet on baseball and he bet on his
admitted to
team.
that.
But the thing is like it's not like he bet and he was selling games. That's the way I look at it, because he always bet for his team to win.
That's what he says.
But
how do we know that?
Wasn't it proven though?
I don't know if anything's ever been really proven when it comes to this. I mean, it wasn't like there were, DraftKings and whatever.
But
I mean, it wasn't. There was just like a written thing you passed on, and somebody called a bookie, and I don't know. I mean,
to me, it just kind of seems like if he was like betting to lose, like he wouldn't have been like the all-time hits leader.
Yeah,
that's just the way I look at it. But
as a manager, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Here's my thing about Pete Rose. It's weird to me that people idolize him so aggressively, right? I mean, for all accounts, he's a pretty despicable human being, right? Like,
yeah, he wasn't a great human being, but
there are things we won't talk about on the show. There are things that he did during his life that, I think exclude him from the talks of being a great human. So that's out.
Yeah.
But I don't think you necessarily have to be a great human to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I don't think that's
that's what Pete Rose said.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the Hall of guys with great morals, right? It's like Hall of Fame. I mean,
yeah, and
sorry about that.
I mean, about sports, guys can be guys can be absolutely terrible people off the field, but then on the field they can be, they can be really, really good. And
Yeah.
I definitely think you can idolize somebody on the field and not off the field, if that
Oh,
makes
for
sense.
sure. Yeah, I don't think
Like,
you have to emulate anything any people do, or any of these people do off the field, right?
yeah,
Like, you don't.
I think
Yeah.
like Pete Rose was really the definition of like a baseball player.
Mhm.
Dude ran everything out. If he walked, he sprinted down to first. He's always being aggressive, and I just think that yeah, you can definitely idolize him on the field, but off the field, it shouldn't affect whether he gets in or not. And
Yeah, I don't know that he's going. Do you think the Baseball Writers of America will vote him in or no?
I think he should be in the Hall of Fame,
Okay.
but I don't think the baseball writers do, because if one guy doesn't vote for Mariano Rivera or Derek Jeter because he's a Red Sox fan,
Or Greg Maddux.
yeah,
I mean, the fact that Mariano Rivera wasn't, yeah, I don't know. Here's my problem. So with Pete Rose, everyone says this is not accurate. By the way, people say Pete Rose, he's the all-time hit leader. That makes him the greatest hitter of all time. It does not.
He just
I don't know
played
if you
for
know
so
this,
long.
he's the all-time leader also in games played at 3,562. He's the all-time leader in at-bats with over 14,053 at-bats. You know how many people have over 13,000 career at-bats, Ben?
None, right?
0.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's got more than 1,000. Like, let's just call it more than 1,000 at-bats more, right, than the next guy. I'm not saying it makes a huge difference in whether or not he would have gotten. I don't know. He's not the best hitter of all time. I don't think you can say that. I don't think that's fair to say. There are a lot of guys that did almost as much, and
it's
a much smaller sample size.
Yeah, it's kind of like I tell people. I said, yeah, Pete Rose is the all-time hits leader, but kind of like you said, if you gave the guy who's second in all-time hits the same amount of bats at Pete Rose, who knows? He could have passed Pete Rose. He could have fallen short.
Yeah, Pete Rose stuck around long enough. I mean, kudos to him. He was good enough to stick around long enough to play.
I think it should be said this way: Pete Rose is the best longevity hitter, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of guys play long, but as they play longer, their hitting starts to go down, and they're kind of just there as just like a moral guy.
Yeah,
but Pete
Rose, his power numbers weren't there. It's not like not that they have to be. It wasn't that era, but
yeah, but Pete Rose was just he was always a right around 300 hitter and all that kind of stuff. But you got guys I'd take Tony Gwynn over Pete Rose any day of the week.
Yeah, me too.
I take him. I take any those on base guys. Him, Ichiro, all those guys.
Sure.
Yeah.
Luis Arias, is he there yet?
If he wins a couple more batting titles, probably.
Fair enough. But okay, now let's talk about Joe Jackson for a minute, because the case for the Hall, I think, is pretty strong for Joe Jackson, right? He's really good. I mean, really, really good. He hit 408 as a rookie in 1911. That's impressive.
Crazy.
408. That's actually a record that still stands in Major League Baseball. It's the highest batting average for a rookie in the history of Major League Baseball, and that average was second to you. Do you know who that year?
I do not.
Ty Cobb. Ty Cobb hit 419 that year. So yeah, Ty Cobb was just a little bit out ahead of Joe Jackson. Ty Cobb actually once said to Joe Jackson, I don't know if this is proven or if it's like one of those anecdotal things, but he said basically, I don't have the exact quote, but when Ty Cobb said when he thought of himself as a good hitter, he would think of Joe Jackson and then realized he had some improvements to make. Joe Jackson was supposedly that good. And Ty Cobb, speaking of guys with character issues, here comes another one, right? That's in the Hall of Fame. Ty Cobb, right? If Ty Cobb's there, why can't Pete Rose be there?
Yeah.
I get that part of it. But anyway, he also led the league that year with a 468 on base percentage as a rookie in 1911.
Wild.
Next season, he hit 395. It obviously wasn't a fluke. Led the league in hits, triples, and total bases.
Dude, he's terrible. From 409 to 395, he sucks.
Huge drop off. Yeah, huge drop off. And then he took a break in 1918. He had to go work in a shipyard because of World War I. That's what guys did back then. It wasn't, baseball wasn't the most important thing. So they went and helped the country out or whatever. Missed most of that season. Came back in 1919, hit 351. The regular season hit 375 in the World Series that year and lost to the Reds, and that's where trouble started. 1920, about halfway through the season, he was hitting 382, and suddenly he was accused of being one of many guys on that White Sox team to have thrown the World Series, to have not given as much effort. And you look, he hits 375 in the series, right? He had a couple triples. I mean, how did he throw the series? But according to the pitchers, I guess the pitchers said that the outfielders looked like they were running in slow motion, not really chasing down fly balls all that aggressively. The Reds, I think, had 9 triples in that series. 3 of them went to Joe Jackson in left field. He was known as a really, really good fielder. So that was rare. I think that looked odd. I don't know that again, as far as proof, I don't think anything was ever proven. I think it was just sort of suggested that Joe Jackson was in on this, and it was suggested that he admitted to someone behind closed doors that he did it. And that was good enough for then Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis to say, hey, that's it. You're banned. That's it. All those guys, you're done. You're banned for life because we're not going to have guys throw the game. And I don't know. I don't know that we ever really proved that Shoeless Joe was in on that, right?
I don't really, like you said, I don't really think there's much proof because of back then, like you said with betting, like it's not like we had DraftKings and you can see what he bet on and all that kind of stuff. Like back then, like you can't really, like a lot of times now, like if, like even if somebody, like even if you don't leave, like even if you don't call somebody and say, hey, I want you to throw this game, you're offering them money, you're doing something, like somebody's gonna find out somehow, or like
well, supposedly they all accepted $5,000, which I think is the equivalent to like $91,000 today.
Yeah.
Supposedly that was the number or whatever. And some say that they weren't necessarily given a choice in that either. It was like, hey, you're going to take this $5,000 and you're going to do this thing in the World Series, or you're going to have problems. That's always been a rumor too. Which, man, could you imagine? That's a sad thing, right? Like you get forced to throw a World Series and then you're banned from your sport that you love, right? You have no choice. Who knows? It was 1921. 1919 when that happened, but 1921. He was banned from 1921 until yesterday, May 13th, 2025. Over 100 years. I don't know. Seems like one of the unnecessary bans in baseball history. I'm glad that one got cleared up. As far as Pete Rose, I'm torn. I'm on the fence. I don't necessarily think that you have to be reinstated into baseball to be eligible for the Hall of Fame. I think those should be different things. There's a difference between being welcome in the game and in dugouts and in clubhouses and just being immortalized as one of the guys that have a really large impact on the sport, right?
Yep.
I think you should be able to be in the Hall of Fame, maybe not necessarily be whatever, whatever. You can still be in bad standing, but be a member of the Hall of Fame, I think that's the way it should be. I don't necessarily know that that's the way it's written, but I don't know. You've got plenty of guys who weren't great humans that are in the Baseball Hall of Fame. You can see it in Cooperstown. I mean, I'm sure there are, plenty of anecdotal stories about guys, and who knows what's true and what's not, but we've all heard, the stories about Ty Cobb not being a great person. But there he sits, he's got a bust in the Hall of Fame. So we'll see if Pete Rose gets in. My suspicion is that Joe Jackson gets in well before Pete Rose ever does.
How many years on the ballot do they have?
I don't know how this is going to work. I was just going to ask you, do you think this is going to work in a similar way that
I don't know if it's going to be like, they got 1 year to get in. If they don't, they're out. Or if it's like normal where, you have like 5 years on the ballot or something like that. And if you don't get in,
I would imagine it would be the way it is normally. They'll have to get a certain percentage of the vote to stay on the ballot. I think that percentage is going to be overwhelmingly low for Rose the first time.
Yeah.
But who knows? I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, some of the Baseball Writers of America are older gentlemen. They may possess different sets of morals and whatever than we do now. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Who knows?
I just think, like you said, it's kind of like a lot of times, the guys that, make it to like, like their last like chance at the ballot. A lot of times, they have a say in, and they can like defend the reasoning on why they think they should get in. And a lot of times, it might push them over the edge. Yeah. But with these guys, like, they're not here to defend themselves. They can't, like if another narrative comes out about these guys that, something else happened, like they're definitely not getting the Hall of Fame then.
Well, and like I said, Pete Rose has some things that happened off the field that I think are fresh
sure
enough in people's minds that are going to possibly keep him from being voted in. Shoeless Joe, though, by all accounts, I mean, seems like a great guy. I don't know. I mean, it was over 100 years ago. What do we really know?
Yeah.
Pete Rose's family has been very, I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but they've been, outspoken and trying to get him, reinstated and into the Hall of Fame. I don't know that we've heard of, from anyone in Joe Jackson's family. I mean, who, like I said, it's been so long. I don't know that he has a strong advocate out there. But I think a lot of people know the story. I think a lot of people are sympathetic, maybe because of the movie Field of Dreams. I don't know. Maybe, Ray Kinsella, Kevin Costner waxing on, about how Joe Jackson had a great series. But maybe that helps keep it in the forefront of some people's minds. I don't know. I'm not really sure how that's going to end up. I'm intrigued to see what that looks like if either of those guys actually gets into the Hall of Fame. both had a huge impact on the sport. And even if it wasn't on the field, kind of peripherally, they feel like Hall of Fame level guys, names that had that kind of impact on their sport. So we'll see. We'll see how
it's
that
almost
goes forward.
This kind of makes you wonder that, like, like when Barry Bonds does, eventually pass away, like, is he going to get into the Hall of Fame?
I don't know.
Like him,
these
Mark
are two different
McGwire,
things.
Sammy
Like Barry
Sosa.
Bonds isn't banned from baseball, like.
I know, but it makes you think that, like,
yeah,
when they pass away, are they going to be like, okay, look, we're going to.
Will he even be still on the ballot at that time, or will he just be appointed? But I don't know. I mean,
I don't. Barry Bonds isn't even eligible for ballots.
It's just silly. It's just, that's what I mean. Like, will he be on a ballot? I mean, is there ever going to be a point where, and at what point do we just kind of throw down the guard and realize that, like, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Roger Clemens, like these guys that we're kind of ousting again, sometimes maybe not the best people. Bonds has numerous stories out there about not being the best teammate, right? It happens. You hear terrible things about Jose Canseco. I've never heard really anything bad about Mark McGwire. I don't know. Who else are we talking about?
Sammy Sosa.
Sammy Sosa seems like a great guy. Roger Clemens, a little competitive. I don't know. He had some fire every once in a while on the mound. Maybe not the best guy. I don't know. Is that enough to really keep that? I mean, when are we going to realize that they made baseball fun to watch? I mean, that McGwire and Sosa race for 62, that was amazing that season. I mean, I know you don't remember. You were young. You were probably not even born yet.
I don't think I think this was before my time.
Yeah, you weren't even born. So, yeah, you probably don't remember that. But I do. I mean, I remember, being with my college roommate and watching Mark McGwire hit that 60-second home run. Like, we were like, well, we were going to go out. It was like a Friday or Saturday night. We're like, well, let's stick around for one more at bat, man, because it could happen. It was like, I was so happy that we did, man. Like, we were there. We were on the same baseball team at the time, whatever. It was really cool, man. It was like a really moment to see. It was just, the two of us just sitting there watching that moment. I'll never forget that. Again, that's a guy that should probably be in the Hall of Fame, regardless of whatever suspicion you have about PEDs, or, we know this guy used them. We don't know that. We suspect that guy, whatever. Those guys made baseball fun to watch. And I think during a time when we were talking more about, baseball players going on strike and labor disputes and the collective, whatever, they made it a lot of fun. And I think they brought a lot of fans back to the game and put a lot of eyes on baseball again. And I don't know, again, the impact on the sport, I feel like this should be there. I don't know. What do you think?
I would agree. I just think that I think with all these players, I think it should, I think the full picture should be kind of looked at. Like Barry Bonds didn't need steroids, right? So I think there's a little bit of leeway there with him, because he was having a Hall of Fame career even before the steroids.
He sure was.
And if you look at Mark McGwire and all them, they were good, but they weren't like Barry Bonds level good before the steroids. Like Barry Bonds was having
not the hand backward. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
Barry Bonds was having a Hall of Fame career in Pittsburgh before the steroids.
Oh yeah.
And then he saw all these guys, hitting, 50, 60, 70 homers a year, and he's like, I want some of that. And unfortunately, it tarnished his legacy.
Yeah, for sure. It did. And I get it. And I understand. And we can always talk about that. I think that's always a part of the discussion. But again, I just think, the Hall of Fame doesn't necessarily, it's not the Hall of guys who did it the right way their whole career, right? Like, it doesn't say that anywhere.
See, and I'll say this too. It makes you wonder how many guys in the Hall of Fame maybe did PEDs and weren't caught, or how many guys took some sort of substance and weren't caught.
Well, and if you listen to the guys that played in the 70s, they'll tell you openly. I mean, they had, and Pete Rose has said it before, they had bowls of whatever kind of substances in the clubhouse. I mean, they had greenies and whatever. They were uppers, downers. Like, we knew this, this type of, amphetamine, whatever. Like, they were taking these pills, and there was no rule against it. Obviously not great for your health. I mean, but that would have been the only caution against doing it at that time,
And
I don't know.
I just think
it's a different time.
Agreed. I think this could be a a topic for another show. Just talking about PEDs in baseball, because say Fernando Tatis Jr. goes on to have a Hall of Fame career, does he not get in because he had that PED scandal?
I don't know. I mean, with the testing as aggressive it is, you would think that we can prove that he's been clean, most of the rest of his career or whatever it's going to be. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, is there always going to be that writing on the wall where it's like, okay, well, but he did it once, so
yeah. I think if it's a guy like A-Rod, who was caught multiple times for it, I think then it's like, okay, maybe maybe we maybe we don't let him in. But
yeah, I mean,
like
who
you
was a
said,
bigger draw at that time than those guys? I mean, by the
yeah,
same token, that's a
like,
tough one.
but
That's a
but
tough
like
one.
you said, if it's like, okay, we can prove that he was clean,
Mhm.
after that one incident and never did it again, then maybe then maybe we let him in the Hall of Fame. But
Yeah.
I just think it's like, if you're caught for PEDs, like it can tarnish your legacy so badly and can
Yeah.
like ruin your chances of getting into Hall of Fame or winning any awards.
Yeah. I think it's sometimes you do have to make that distinction because, like you said, Barry Bonds was going to be a Hall of Famer regardless of any
Yeah,
PED usage at all.
he was on
I
pace
mean,
to be one of the best ever without him.
yeah, the hand-eye coordination was off the charts, right?
Yeah.
He was stealing bases. I mean, he was playing the outfield. He was a great baseball player. And then he became this monster of a home run hitter. And he literally became a physical monster. I mean, he physically got so much bigger that it was obvious, right? Like, it was obvious.
Yeah.
But I still just don't know if that's enough to keep him out of the Hall of Fame because, I mean, I don't know. Even if you didn't like the Giants or you didn't like Barry Bonds, I mean, 73 home run. I don't know, man. It was why it kept eyes on baseball. It gave you something to watch, a reason to watch, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like Barry Bonds before steroids in Pittsburgh, he hit 275,
Mm-hmm.
still with a 380 on base percentage. Like
Yeah.
today's world, that gets you into the Hall of Fame.
He was a great player. I mean, there's
Like
no
that
doubt
gets you into
about
the
it.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You can look at his post PED career, versus his pre PED career, and there's not a ton of difference other than just the power numbers.
The dude was just an on base machine. He had a career on base percentage of 444.
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah, and I mean, I think at one point, one season, he may have been intentionally walked. I think he was intentionally walked more than he struck out, which is wild. But there are other numbers that you can look. You can pick through some of Bonds' stuff, and it looks like a video game. It's wild.
2003.
Yeah.
2003 and 2004, he had more intentional walks than he did strikeouts.
There you go.
Well, 3 straight years. 2002, 3, and 4.
He was terrifying at the plate. I mean,
Yeah,
no one barreled a ball up the way Bonds did. Not
No,
just prime, or even a little after his prime, really. Maybe thanks to PEDs, but I don't know.
But he won, like, before we move on, like, he won 3 MVPs before in Pittsburgh. Like, he didn't need, like, that's always my argument. People say, oh, he should be on the Hall of Fame. Like, yeah, he could have been, but he didn't need to use steroids. Like,
those Pirates teams were so talented, by the way, too. Andy Van Slyke, Bobby
that
Bonilla,
outfield.
getting paid by the, oh my gosh, they were so good.
Dude,
they just didn't quite have the pitching, but yeah, they were really, really talented team, really good teams in Pittsburgh back then. I guess let's move on. We'll see how it all shakes out. I don't know if any of these guys are going to get into the Hall of Fame or if any of these guys are going to be considered eligible for the Hall of Fame.
Do you think? Let me ask you this: do you think either one of these guys gets in first try, or do you think it'll take multiple tries for both guys?
No, I don't think. Well, maybe Shoeless Joe. Maybe Shoeless Joe because of the impact he's had, and I think the fact that like no one was really alive when this all went down. I mean, like I said, there's some older gentlemen on the Baseball Writers of America, but they weren't alive. They weren't there for this, right?
Yeah.
I think the fact that maybe that's not fresh in their minds as something that actually happened in real life, it's just a story, right? I think that helps him in this case. I think he gets in first. I don't know if he gets in first try, but I think he has a chance. I don't think Pete Rose has a chance to get in first try. I don't think that's gonna happen.
I would agree.
So we'll see. All we can do is watch it play out, and it's going to take years, but we'll know. We'll come back to this. We'll revisit it at some point. I want to move on to another story that's not necessarily, well, I guess that's happy. I don't know. Guys getting reinstated is fun. The Cavaliers have been reinstated as going full Cleveland and losing in the second round as a 1 seed.
Woohoo!
Didn't win a single game against the Pacers at home. Has that ever happened? I tried to look that up this morning.
I have no idea.
I know that there's this. Since 2000 in the Eastern Conference, only 7 times has the 1 seed gotten to the finals. Last year it was the Celtics. The time before that it was the Cavs in 2016 when they won the title. Other than that, it's not great. The 1 seed in the Eastern Conference isn't necessarily the place you want to be. If you're trying to get to the finals anyway. But man, to not win a single game at home in the series. I know injuries played a part. I get it. But Ben, what happened to this team, man? Like what? How did they go from 64-18, sweeping the Heat in the first round, and barely even competing against the Pacers?
I will tell you this. Before the show, I told Chad, I was writing down some stats here. It all starts with shooting and defense.
Yeah.
The Cavaliers as a team shot 42% from the field. And mind you, this league average is 45 to 46%. That's league average.
Okay.
And you shot 29% from 3. in league average for threes is 34%.
Yeah.
And as a team, you shoot 79% from the free throw line. You had 5 guys with a free throw percentage less than 80% in the series. Like,
so what contributed to that? Was it injuries? Was it nerves? Was it expectations? I mean, was the moment too big? What happened?
I don't know. For a lot of these guys, it's probably. I mean, with any sport, Chad, that requires your legs. If your leg is hurt, it's hard to get any type of power, like especially like full power.
Yeah.
Like jump shots, anything like that. But
for sure.
Like if you're gonna play, like I don't care whether you're hurt or not. There's no excuse to shoot as bad as we did.
I mean,
like the only person that didn't shoot bad was Evan Mobley.
Yeah, and I've been kind of hard on him privately to you. I keep telling you I don't mean to harp on him, but it's like I just don't see the top 10 player in the league superstar that a lot of people see as far as potential.
And I agree with you there. I don't think he's ever like a top 10 player in the league, but I think I think for his career, I think he'll be that great second option, that could get you, 20, 25, 30 a night, if your star is not having a good night.
Yeah.
And I just think his ability, to guard 1 through 5, guard the perimeter, block shots in the paint. I just think
defensively, he's probably better than I'm giving him credit for. I think that's
and offensively though, he's improving too. Like Mobley shot 42% from 3 and 60% from the field. Like Mobley last year and the year before that's not doing that.
No. So let me ask you this. I mean, is there ever a point, like you said, he's a great second option. I mean, is there ever a point where we can look at him to take over a game and get us there as Cavs fans? Is that going to happen with him or no?
I think as long as he keeps developing, yes. Because if you think about it, he's 23, right? He's not even in his prime yet.
Yeah, you're right.
Like you don't hit your athletic prime till you're 26, 27.
Yeah.
So when he gets to 26, 27, like who knows? Duke could be pulling up from Curry range and still shooting 37% from 3.
Who knows?
Like
he's always going to be the inside presence they need defensively.
Yeah.
I guess with a bad ankle, that kind of went away in the series a little bit. They really didn't defend the rim very well at all against the Pacers.
I mean, I do want to say Ty Jerome was abysmal in this series. He was awful. Yeah. Like atrocious.
Yeah.
Anytime he was on the floor, Indiana says, "We're picking on you, and you got to stop us." And he couldn't. He couldn't. And Dude couldn't hit the ocean if he fell out of a boat.
It's not ideal.
Like the only person that shot good in this series was Evan Mobley, and he's the only person that actually played decent. Like I don't care what you say about Donovan Mitchell. Don't get me wrong. I love Donovan Mitchell. Great player. Great superstar to have.
Always says the right thing. Always seems to do the right thing. Yeah.
But you cannot tell me that he played good, shooting 29%.
Yeah. There was some volume scoring done by Mitchell, I think, in that series for sure.
But he also got to the line 14 times a game.
Yeah.
And he's making 10 free throws a game. Right there, that's 10 points.
Right.
And he's shooting 30, 35 shots a game. Like don't get me wrong. He's a good leader to have, but he did not play well. I don't like.
We talked about the efficiency of the Cavs offense coming into the playoffs. Remember, they were averaging like 123 points per 100 possessions. Like, where did that go? They went I think I saw them go 6 minutes last night without scoring a bucket.
They did, and it's all about physicality and tempo. And the Pacers.
So let me ask you this: the Cavs need to go out and get a guy who is going to be able to be physical without, falling into trouble. I mean, we saw the whole thing, with whatever the flagrant 2 and the technical on DeAndre. They need to go get a guy who can handle that kind of physical, whatever, play, bang around underneath, whatever. Or are they just going to get punched in the mouth every series in game 1 and fold? I mean, is that?
Yes, they need to
get. What we're going to see in this era of the Cavs, or no?
Yes, because they need to get tougher.
Okay, so who do they get? What type of guy do they need to go get?
Like they would need to get a guy like Benedict Mathurin.
Anthony Mason. You can't say Xavier McDaniel. You can't say guys from the 90s. You can't say that.
No, but they would need to get a guy like Benedict Mathurin.
Even know this guy.
They would need to get a guy like Benedict Mathurin, the guy that gets in your head and plays great defense and can score the ball a little bit too. Like you need one of those guys on your team.
Okay, Draymond Green.
You would need a guy like Draymond Green, just besides with all the fouls.
Yeah. Draymond, I'm not saying Draymond specifically. I think he's probably a little physically past his prime to make a big difference on this team.
Yeah.
And then you'd have the two bigs again, and you'd have a weird situation. So I don't think that would work for him. But yeah, a guy like that, a guy that's not afraid to be the lightning rod, take a little bit of controversy away from your superstars, right? Like,
yep.
Yeah, sometimes that's necessary. The NBA, I don't want to say it requires a guy like that, but sometimes that helps.
Yeah, like something's just got to change. You can't just keep running it back and expecting a different result. Like that's literally the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I get it. They changed the coach. That's fine. That paid huge dividends in the regular season.
It did.
But here we are, second round exit again, right?
But I'll say this though. I think this Cavs team was tougher under JB Bickerstaff. I think they got softer with Kenny Atkinson.
Well, and I think they were more shorthanded against the Knicks last year.
They were,
right?
But you had guys that were willing to step up and be tough.
I meant to say against the Celtics last year, right? Against the Celtics.
I
think they played them pretty tough.
I agree. Took them to 6. And again, I think it all revolves around who's leading the ship.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Kenny Atkinson's a bad coach because, like you said, we had 64 wins. We had a great season. But
at times they looked completely dominant.
Yeah. But like if you look at all the best teams in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I sent you that clip of Joe Mazzulla yelling at Jason Tatum to get up after an injury.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel right, but that's just toughness. Like he wants him to get up and play.
Sure.
And like I just think that the Cavs got to be able to figure that out without it coming from the coaching. Because
within,
yeah,
I get that.
Like if you insert a young Tristan Thompson onto this Cavs roster, I think it's completely different because that young Tristan that was willing to go out there and just bang bodies and not afraid of anybody.
Yeah.
Like I kept telling people, I think Tristan Thompson would have been a perfect option off the bench in this series because he brings that physicality, he brings that toughness, and he's not afraid. He's not afraid to fight somebody if he has to.
Yeah, I'd rather have a roster full of guys like Tristan Thompson and Matthew Dellavedova than have a bunch of guys who maybe are better players, talent-wise, better shooters, better ball handlers, but they're not. They're gonna kind of fold when the pressure gets thick, right? Like things get tough and they kind of go away a little bit.
And I just want to say this: the fact that you're an NBA team, and you don't have a full court press breaker is mind blowing. It's beyond. Like I watch high school basketball, and they have after a bucket when it's a close game, they immediately say, "Okay, go into your press breaker." You're telling me as an NBA team, you don't have something that can break a full court press? Yeah. That's all Indiana did for 5 games was full court press you, and caused you trouble. You couldn't get the ball in bounds. Multiple 8-second violations.
Yeah.
Like
turnovers on inbounds. Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're an NBA team. How do you not have a press breaker?
It's a good question. It's a great question.
Like, what are we doing?
I don't know. And it's hard to you go 64-18 in the regular season. You're not the best team in the NBA, but the best team in the East, right? I didn't see this kind of a series coming with the Pacers. I knew the Pacers were tougher, right, than the Heat. I knew that, but I thought the Cavs would win in 6 games. I really didn't see. I just didn't see them coming out and not winning a game at home the entire series. That blows my mind.
Yeah, I feel like if you win that game 2 at home, it's a whole different series.
For sure, yeah.
But at the same time,
they didn't.
Yeah, at the same time, though, it all just resolves around toughness and defense, and Cavs couldn't do either of those.
Yeah, and the Pacers, again, we talked about the Pacers being really good at scoring late, and they did that on almost every win against the Cavs. I mean,
the Pacers shot 50% from the field and 42% from 3.
There you go.
That's well above league average in both categories.
You've got to defend the ball better than that. You can live with a high percentage from the 3-point line because that's going to happen. It's tough to whatever, but you've got to defend the rim better, right?
Yeah.
They have to do that.
Yeah. And like I said about Mitchell, Mitchell did not play well, but something that he excelled at was getting to the free throw line, and I think the team should have recognized that more. As like, okay, look, we can't shoot, but let's get them into foul trouble. Let's get to the free throw line because it's kind of the whole thing of well,
a lot of that depends on officials calling, things. And I'm not saying that the series came down to the officials. If you lose 4-1 the way the Cavs did, it's not the officials.
No, I agree.
There were a lot of fouls that didn't get called in that series. I mean,
and apparently apparently traveling calls don't apply to the Pacers.
No, you don't have to dribble if you play basketball in Indiana, you don't have to. That's where basketball was born. You don't have to dribble in Indiana. Come on, Ben, you know that.
Like there was like 5 or 6 times in that last game where the Pacers traveled and the referees just sat there and was like, "Play on, go ahead."
What would Dr. Naismith do? Yeah, let it go.
Like it's ridiculous.
Right, I get it.
It just
again, it did not contribute to losing the series 4-1, but it's another thing that factored in.
No, and I told people too. I said, yeah, don't get me wrong, DeAndre Hunter was a great addition, right? But if you have George Niang on this team, who's not afraid to fight a dude, and Karis LeVert, who's not afraid to get scrappy with the dude, could be a whole different series. Because
and sometimes it's not just fighting. Like you've got to play within, like you've got to be physical, right? But also not get pulled into all the extracurricular nonsense. I don't know. You've got to be able to answer that.
And talking about like, the Cavs aren't tough. I agree. Yes, we've looked soft. We've been soft, but it's also hard to be tough when you're injured. Like, like I'll say this: Donovan Mitchell was tough because that dude was going out there. That dude was literally like willing to die to put his to get this team over the finish line.
It's hard to play with a bad ankle, Mobley, a bad calf, a bad toe. It's hard to play with those injuries. I get it. For Garland had the toe,
like from playing sports, like if you can if you're bumping bodies with somebody and you're hurt, you make one wrong move and you re-aggravate it, then you're done for the series.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're hurt, you don't really want to get into a scrap with anybody, or you don't.
Because you're right. You go to plant, and if you miss, it's a lot worse than planting and banging body. Yeah, it's worse. I mean,
I just think that
it does.
I just think that in a series like this, when Jared Allen's healthy, like he should have been a guy to step up and like start banging bodies with Turner and Siakam and all these guys. But instead, like you look at him and he's just like, I like Jared Allen. He's good, but you could definitely improve at the center spot. Like,
well, so we talked about it a little bit. We were texting last night. Do you think Jared Allen and Evan Mobley are going to work together going forward?
No, unless Jared Allen can start shooting threes. No.
Okay. Probably not going to do that.
Because this Cavs lineup would be perfect in a 5-out situation.
Okay.
Right? Because you've got Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Two. You got Darius Garland, an elite ball handler, and you get Donovan Mitchell, who's a good ball handler, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who has the ball. If you can get them one-on-one up top, and you can spread the floor and let them ISO,
okay,
it's gonna be like any other 5-out. You're gonna get the center to drop. He can either go up with it and try to get fouled, or he can kick it to the corner, and anybody can shoot.
We all got so sick of the ISO ball with LeBron, though, right? Like I remember
the Cavs never really ran 5-out with LeBron though, because the Cavs never really had Kevin Love. Yeah, Kevin Love was always your power forward, but then you had Tristan Thompson, who was down low. So
Kevin Love played the 3 for all intents and purposes. Like he was playing the 3.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
but
at least offensively.
But like if the Cavs had like a 5-out system like the Pacers did, right, where if you get a 4 that can shoot the ball, and you even if you had Dean Wade in the starting lineup instead of Jared Allen, right, you run a 5-out where you got 5 shooters on the perimeter, and the guy up top can just ISO and then kick out to whoever he wants to.
Okay.
I think that benefits the Cavs a whole lot more because then you got to guard 5 guys on the perimeter. You don't.
Yeah, but you've got to hit those shots too. When the playoffs come around, you've got to hit those shots. You got to keep knocking those shots down. You can do it all. You can do it all. What am I saying? Not postseason. You can do it all regular season if you want to, but it doesn't matter if you can't do it in the playoffs, right?
And I agree, but at the same time, though, like I said, all the Pacers were doing was basically just forcing Jared Allen to guard the perimeter because they knew that they could with 5-out.
Yeah.
He would just guard it. That's why the paint was always so open, because they'd run 5-out. You'd have Miles Turner sitting in the corner, and you'd have
right by Allen. I mean,
and you'd have Nembhard or Halliburton on Allen, and then whenever
Mobley with the ankle probably can't rotate over as much to help. I mean, he's not as lateral as
And then when you run that 3-2 zone, again, all they're doing is setting a screen, getting Jared Allen switched onto the guard, and they're getting Pascal Siakam switched onto Max Strus.
Yeah.
Like
mismatches everywhere.
I just think that I think the Cavs would be better off with a different center other than Jared Allen. That's just my thoughts, but I don't know. I don't know basketball, so that's just my opinion.
I understand. Let me ask you this. I have one more question about the Cavs, and we'll move on because it's depressing a little bit. look at the Cavs like coming in. Whatever, it's season's over. Nothing you can do about it now. Look at the Celtics. Their season's probably over, right? Like that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going to be next year. Injuries suck. I hate to see that happen. I'm not ever happy about injuries. That stinks, man. Right? But I don't want to talk about the Celtics. I just want to talk about the Cavs moving forward. It seems like the East is going to be maybe except for the Pacers, and maybe the Knicks. I don't know. The Knicks seem like they're going to take a step forward. The East is pretty wide open. The Cavs should be able to. They'll have no problem being a top 3 seed next year, right? Right.
Probably.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay, unless so here's why you hesitated, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know why you hesitated. Maybe you're just not listening to me, but here's why I hesitate to say that, because I think at some point when you start to get into the playoffs and you're going out in the same round over and over and over again, I think the regular season gets a little boring, right? Like you just want to get back to the playoffs. I think we should you really could see the Cavs have a little bit of a dip next year. Maybe they only win, 55, 56 games. Not because they're any less of a team than they were last year in the regular season or this year. I think it's just it's like the mental game of going back through 82 to get here again. It's a grind, right?
It is.
Northeast Ohio. It's tough. I don't know, man.
I would agree, but at the same time, I think it's kind of one of the reason why I hesitated, right, is because like when you get beat and exposed as badly as the Cavs did in the playoffs, teams are going to look at that blueprint and be like, okay, this is how we beat this team. Yeah. Especially if you're bringing back the exact same team as that year. Because next year, right, the Cavs can't, like, I know I texted you about moves I want to made, but the more I thought about it,
the same team running it back,
It is, because with our salary restrictions, trade has to be a 1-for-1, and it has to match salaries.
NBA's tough. Yeah.
You don't own a first-round pick until 2031.
That's tough.
So you're essentially going to run back the same team. So you're essentially going to be running back the same team. And
you better hope they get it right with Mobley.
If I'm the entire Eastern Conference and I look at this Cavs roster, I'm thinking, okay, if we want to beat this Cavs team, we got to be tougher. We got to be more physical. And we got to expose Jared Allen. Yeah. And I think if you do that, I think you win. Any team could beat the Cavs. The Wizards could beat the Cavs.
So it doesn't sound like you see the Cavs getting out of the second round anytime soon.
Not until
we talked about it this year. I mean, God, Ben, they were winning 15 games in a row, 800 games in a row. They had these win streaks. It looked like they were the easy pick to win a title at one point, right?
But then, after that last 15-game win streak, you played the Pacers. I went back and watched that game. Pacers had the exact same game plan that game that they did in the postseason.
But we all thought it was fine because the Cavs had guys out, right? It's no problem. We talked about should we? I asked the question on the show, shouldn't we be concerned about the fact that the Pacers won 3 out of 4 in the regular season? We all said no. Shouldn't be concerned about that. But we didn't know.
No, but the fact that I went back and watched it and they used the same exact game plan and the Cavs didn't adjust.
Yeah.
That's on Kenny Atkinson.
Sure. Especially, I get it. Game 1, they come out and do the same thing. Okay. Didn't necessarily expect them to. Okay, fine. Thought I thought they went at us that way because we had guys out. Whatever, fine. And now you have guys out in the series. Why wouldn't you expect them to come back the same way? I mean, you're right. That is on Kenny Atkinson. I mean, it's
on Kenny Atkinson. It's on the entire coaching staff.
Yeah, for sure. You got to notice that. You got to watch film and see that, right? As a coach, you got to see that in the NBA.
One thing I will say that is not Kenny Atkinson's fault is he cannot make these players defend. If the player's sagging off and doesn't want to defend, they should be benched. But
and I don't know if guys are trying to conserve energy or nurse injuries or whatever. I don't know what the reason is, but man, the defense completely bottomed out.
It did
in the playoffs, or at least in this series, it completely bottomed out compared to what they were all regular season.
It seemed like none of the starters wanted to play defense.
Yeah. It was puzzling at times.
It's just it just blows my mind that you have such a great defense and offense all year, and then you get to the postseason and you get exposed by it. The Pacers literally
looked like average team.
Yeah, the Pacers literally looked like a team from the 90s.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Like, we're just going to be more physical than you.
Very much. And that was my heyday of watching basketball. It felt very much like watching mid-90s basketball.
Yep.
It really did. I expected Reggie Miller and Rick Smits to make an appearance. I thought the Dunking Dutchman was going to be out there. Again, let's just move on. I don't want to talk about the Cavs much, but I don't know. Do you see them? I wanted to ask you. Do you think they're a top 3 seed next year in the playoffs or no?
I think they
They
are.
dropped a little bit. Yeah.
I think that, like you said, I don't think we have 60 wins again.
Yeah.
I think
The East
next
feels
year
wide open though.
it does. I think next year though, I think the Knicks could be the 1 seed.
Yeah, it's possible.
Because I think they
Pacers
finally
could be the 2 seed.
I think they could be. I think they could. I think they finally figured some things out. And the Celtics like have to clear cap space. Like they're gonna have to start getting rid of some people because of that new second apron rule that went into effect. Like they're
not just the injury. They're
not getting any younger.
No, they're not, and they're not getting any less expensive. I mean, they're
financially
they're strapped.
They're paying Tatum like
$45
million.
They're strapped. Yeah, they're in trouble.
I mean, the Cavs are in that same boat until all these guys contract until all these guys.
I think the Cavs have another 2 years over where the Celtics have. Or so
for sure.
But
once Donovan hits 30 years old, once Jared Allen hits 29 years old,
tough decision.
That's kind of when your window ends.
Yeah, they're gonna have to make some tough decisions, and with no first round picks until what'd you say 40, 86. I mean, they're in trouble.
Like that.
Something like that. Anyway, let's just move on. Whatever. Cavs are done. We're all sad about it. Whatever. Another thing I'm kind of sad about. We talked about it, at the top of the show. It should be really exciting, right? Ohio State plays Texas week 1, August, right? In the shoe, it's gonna be fun. Although it may not be that fun because we may just watch the entire roster go out with cramps because we've announced that it's most likely going to be a noon kickoff on Fox. Everybody loves Gus Johnson, Ben. Well, not everybody. I love Gus Johnson. I like watching the game that Gus Johnson calls.
You got barbecue back there and you didn't invite me?
Hey,
hurt my feelings.
Man. Yeah. Listen, I'll watch Iowa play somebody, Northwestern, right? I'll watch Iowa if it's on big noon kickoff and Gus Johnson's calling the game. I'll try to watch it. I love Gus Johnson.
I love Gus Johnson.
But
I just think
this game doesn't deserve to be a noon kickoff, does it?
No,
this is a rematch of the national semifinal. By the way, a very exciting national semifinal for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Until Jack Sawyer blew it up at the end. But yeah, I mean, this doesn't deserve to be a noon kickoff.
No, this is a game that deserves Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler on a Saturday night at 7:30.
Yeah.
But
I know.
As long as
and I know once those, I get it. Everybody wants the ratings at noon because nobody's watching anything else at noon. I mean, but it's college football. It's week 1. Like everybody's eyes are going to be on the TV.
Like I told my dad, I said I think every single year, Ohio State, Michigan should be at 7:30 on primetime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
they kicked off at 6:30 one year.
They did, and that was electric.
Yeah, it was.
I think,
sorry.
I just think that, all these big, I get, Fox has the Big Ten, and like you said, they want to be the stars at noon.
Sure.
But why not find, whoever makes the schedules, I forget, are they randomly made?
No. They're decided upon, years ahead of time. I mean, especially all the out of conference stuff. I mean,
I was gonna say
games go down all the time, and whatever. Guys back out, not guys, but
if it was me, each week, if I was Big Noon, and there's a game like Ohio State, Texas.
You are Big Noon. I've always thought that was a great nickname for you, Big Noon, right? It's fantastic.
I think that games like Ohio State, Texas should always be the 7:30 primetime game. All those blue bloods, and then I think you should find another good Big Ten matchup that can fill that noon slot.
Maybe that's tier 1B, like Penn State and Iowa, or Penn State and Michigan, or something.
Something that has the potential to be a good
game.
Sorry,
Michigan, you're not 1A right now. I mean, you're coming off a cheating scandal. You lost 5. I know you beat Ohio State, but you lost 5 guys. Come on.
But when Ohio State plays especially okay, maybe it's maybe if they have a primetime game later in the year, and say it was Ohio State versus Texas, and Texas was 3-6 coming to the game, maybe you flex that to a big noon. Yeah. Still give Texas the prime time, all the attention. Ohio State gets a noon game, but like you said, coming off a national semifinal where the game was absolutely
a lot of college football games don't get flexed. They are where they're scheduled because the logistics are weird for college. In the NFL, you only have so many stadiums you have to worry about going to, right? But in college, it could be anything. You could be in Palo Alto, or you could be in Gainesville. I mean, there's hundreds of stadiums, right? Or at least over 100. But
I don't know. I just think Ohio State should get more 7:30 primetime games. You're one of the biggest blue blood schools in the country.
Yeah.
And you look at these schools like Alabama and Georgia who are getting primetime games nearly every single week.
Right.
Like,
I
think
I'm
I saw a schedule.
because
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
I'm pretty sure I saw the schedule. I think the 7:30 game is like Virginia Tech versus like somebody else. I'm like, really? Like Virginia Tech at 7:30?
Well, as long as they're at home, that entrance is going to be electric. We know that. That's fine. But then after that, it pretty much all goes downhill, right? Like,
yeah,
they're not the Virginia Tech, they're not the Frank Beamer Virginia Tech teams.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. Like, so Ohio State, brand new athletic director, right? By the way, Ross Bjork says we want a better atmosphere. We want to be more with the times. I don't know exactly what that means. What does the better atmosphere mean? Does that mean you want a friendlier game day atmosphere? Do you want it to be more electric? Do you want it to be an intimidating place to play? Like he says those words, but I think that's up to everybody's interpretation of what they think a better atmosphere. What does that mean? What is, like when he says they want a better atmosphere? What does he mean? It's unclear.
Kind of like you texted me. I don't think there's any better atmosphere in college football than a 7:30 primetime game on a Saturday night at that team's home stadium.
Yeah,
that place, Ohio Stadium, would be rocking.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the places like Neyland, Death Valley, you got LSU, like the places that are like your iconic stadiums. Penn State deserves probably more nighttime home games. Alabama did when Saban was there. It was an electric place to be. Maybe they're not quite where they were. I feel like, it's tough with Oregon because, you have a night game at Oregon. Now you got to kick off at 11 o'clock, right? Like that's tough.
Yeah.
So maybe the West Coast is a little bit tougher. I mean, the logistics there are not as easy, but yeah, I feel like there's a lot of these, like you said, the Blue Bloods deserve more of these 7 o'clock, 7:30 kickoffs than they get, especially Ohio State. I mean, it's wild for Ohio State to have 7 home games and 5 of them are noon kickoffs.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of like maybe like the NFL does with, like NFL says they don't, but they do. Like the Chiefs have only had 1 o'clock kickoff since Patrick Mahomes has been the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Like you're telling me, just miraculously somehow the schedule falls where they only have 1 o'clock kickoff.
Right.
Like, let's be honest. Like, we know what you're doing, NFL. Like, we're not, like, you're not tricking us.
The NFL has always been kind of accused of favoring whoever the darlings are at the time, right?
And I think college football should do that more, right? Like, if you want the biggest viewership possible, right? Like when you think about the weekend, right? Like, you want to get all your stuff done early so you can watch the college football games later in the day.
Yeah,
right.
I don't mind. Like, I like to watch the noon games. Like I said, I'll watch like Wisconsin play Iowa at noon. I have no problem with that. I'll watch, TCU play Baylor. I'm a college football fan. It's not just my team. Like, I like to watch those teams early on, 12, 3:30. Maybe you get a little bit better. Like, I missed the SEC at 3:30 on CBS time slot. I missed that.
Yeah.
That was always cool for me. You always got like an Alabama, Tennessee, or Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, whatever. Great matchup there. I missed that time slot. That was fun for me growing up. I missed that a lot. But then it's like it was nice because like if your team played the night game, then you got to ramp up into that, right? You kind of like you watch like some stress-free football or whatever because you like the butterflies were there.
Yep.
Sometimes when the Buckeyes play at noon, it's like the whole day's over for me. Like I'm not even I'm not as invested anymore. And I'm not saying only the Buckeyes should ever play at night. That's not fair.
Yeah, no.
I just think they deserve more night games at home. I think they really do.
And it's kind of like you said, like when college football starts, right? Like I wake up at 9 a.m. every Saturday to watch College Game Day, right?
Yep. When my kids don't take the TV from me, same.
And then I'm sitting there and I'm watching games, like you said, from 12 until midnight.
I've got the multi-view on. I'm trying to find as many. I maximize my college football watching abilities to the most.
I bring out my Xbox. I've got a 2 TV set in my living room. Bring out my Xbox. Put on a third game. Like last year,
I'm basically not approachable from August until November. Like but kind
of like you said, I think Ohio State should get more primetime games because one, they're blue blood, and it just.
By the way, they're also defending national champions.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, it hurts recruiting, I think, to a certain extent. I think guys want to come in. And they want to have those visits where they don't watch a noon game where you're squinting across the field into the sun, right? Like trying to watch whatever.
Yeah.
I think they want to be on the sidelines and feel that electricity and like the crisp fall air, right? And like the LED lights going off when the Buckeyes score. I think guys want to feel that. And I think when they go on the visit where they ultimately get to feel that, I think sometimes that's that plays a huge factor in where guys commit and where they go to play.
For sure. And and it's just one of those things too when it's like I think people saw how electric that Ohio State Tennessee game was.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people are so mad because like you saw how electric that place was, a 7:30, a primetime big game.
Yeah.
At Ohio Stadium.
Yeah. It didn't matter the weather. Didn't matter.
Yeah, like that place was bumping.
It was what was it? 18 degrees? It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
It just I think it should be kind of one of those things where college football kind of just can like override what the conferences want. And it's like, look, like if we have like Ohio State versus Texas or Ohio
State, but then who's in charge of making that call? The NCAA. You can't trust them.
I think something has to be done because, like you said, we can't have a number 2 versus number 3 number 2 Ohio State versus number 3 Penn State as a noon kickoff. Like that should be a 7:30 game.
Yeah. For sure.
Like Ohio State, Texas should be a 7:30 game.
All three of these venues that you're mentioning deserve that slot. Wherever that game's played. Penn State, Texas, Ohio State, doesn't matter. They all deserve that time slot and they deserve the eyes on their program at that time. I don't know.
And
like you, time with it.
Like you said, like I'd rather wake up, watch college football all day and watch Ohio State at 7:30 than wake up, watch College Game Day, watch the game at noon, and then just turn off football.
Yeah, and I don't think it's not just an Ohio State thing. I want to be clear about that. I just think it's when you have a team who is regionally and especially nationally relevant, like Ohio State is, they're polarizing, right? You either love to watch them win or you love to watch them lose, right? That's it.
Yep.
They're very, very polarizing. All eyes are going to be on Ohio State. That time slot is going to be, and people might get tired of it a little bit, I guess, but they're going to watch because they want to see Ohio State go down. I just feel like you take care of the team that's the defending national champions. You take care of a team who is nationally relevant, who brings eyes onto the TV screens, right? Who brings money into the game, who brings everything. I mean, Ohio State's it, right? Like Ohio State's one of like 5 or 6 programs that are it.
Yeah, and I think
5 noon kickoffs out of 7 home games is inexcusable, I think.
Yeah.
And does Ohio State have no say over it? I mean, I'm confused again. I wish we were a big enough show to get Ross Bjork on here. I want to ask him the tough questions. Like, can't you do anything? I mean, is there nothing you can do as the athletic director and just say, hey, listen, like, logistically speaking, this game is still 3 months away or whatever. We can change it to 7:30. It's not gonna. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
Yeah.
The ripple effect isn't going to be that large going through college football. No, I get it. Like you can't fix a game. Okay, well, hey, this Saturday this team lost. We don't want to go to Michigan. Let's go to Ohio State. I get it. It's tougher that way, but sometimes decisions aren't made on where game day is going to be until I don't know what Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I just think I think the NCAA should work with College Game Day, and I think wherever College Game Day is. I think that should be like, unless there's like a special reason as to why College Game Day is there.
Yeah, it typically is. Sometimes they're there for the rivalry games, and then they go cover another game, whatever. Right.
But
because you've heard about Herb Street having to do College Game Day and then hop on a plane and go to wherever.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think wherever College Game Day is, that should be the 7:30 game.
Okay.
Because like one, it makes it easier for Herb Street. He doesn't got to travel all over the place.
Okay. But what if Fox's pregame show's there? And then shouldn't it be the big noon kickoff?
You could do it at both. They do it all the time.
You should just play 2 games. Play one at noon, play one at 7:30.
Agreed.
Problem solved. There we go. We just figured it out, Ben. Listen, we gotta get out of here. It's been an hour already. I can't believe an hour just flew by. Next week we're gonna try to gotta try to get these guests lined up for the NIL thing. I really want to get into that. Speaking of college football so much. I also do want to say the NFL schedule comes out tonight. So next week on the show, we'll you want to play the schedule game? People really hate that. You want to do that?
We can.
Let's do it. Let's predict the Browns 3-14 season, and we'll predict the Steelers 9-8 or 10-7 season. Like every other year, we'll go through that.
It'll be 9-8, and we'll get blown out in the first round, and then
Browns fans would love it. I mean,
it happens every year.
Browns fans would absolutely love it. Anyway, let's get out of here. We appreciate you guys watching. For Big Noon, for my co-host Big Noon, I'm gonna make it stick, man. I'm Chad Bryan. Thank you again. Thank you so much for watching the Sports Show with No Name. We appreciate you guys. We will see you next week. We'll let you know. I'll let you know on social media if we get the guests lined up for the NIL show, because it's one you're not going to want to miss. Until then, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Still going. It's not ending. It's just buffering. Big Noon, fix it. Come on, help me out, Big Noon. We're still live. All right. Well, it's the 24-hour show. This is a problem I didn't anticipate having.